We've got tips and recipes for healthy living. So for fun and inspiration, come and join us in the raw food world.
Welcome everybody, this is Matt Monarch with the Raw Food World TV show, and we're still at the Tree of Life. We've had an amazing time. We showed you guys the lunch, and we had that amazing session happen. I feel completely transformed. Like, I'm never going to be the same ever again. That was just crazy. Like, my arms. And to finish it off, we have a special guest here. We've got Dr. Gabriel Cousens. Thanks for coming on board.
Okay, happy to be talking to you.
Right on. George Cromack, is he new here, like doing your thing?
Well, George and I have known each other for 15 years, and we put together this Renew program based on the whole idea that flexibility is a key thing to being youthful. You know, so here at age 67, I'm a lot more flexible than I was at age 21 as a National Football Hall of Fame football player.
Wow. I mean,
so that's the key. You know, people with age, they get rigid, they get tight. Their minds get tight, their emotions get tight, and their body gets tight. They reflect each other. So we've put together a reversal of that, you know, creating flexibility, emotional, mental, and physical flexibility.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, seriously, like my shoulders and everything. We're gonna come back actually, like when we have time, and we're gonna make this happen. So I noticed, like, I feel Kundalini a lot, and after the session, it's even more so. Yeah. I guess why is that? Is it
because you know, even though Kundalini is on a subtle plane level, the physical plane, particularly when we're working with the spine, kind of opens up the flow of the energy, even on the subtle plane.
Oh wow. Okay, so Angela and we've had these questions for you. Okay, so you know David Wolf with the whole calcium thing, and this.
Yeah, well, that was part of the input that we said, let's do it. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and this helps.
I've been working on this for 20 years, but let's do it, and it was the final thing when those two people showed up in different ways and different things. It's like, okay, it's time to put it together.
Wow. We just read a book that was written in 1910. Mm-hmm. His name was called How to Prolong Life by
C.W.
DeCasey, I think his name was. And the whole book is about like ossification.
Really?
Yeah, and it blew me away because this is what.
To see that book.
Do we have it here, babe?
Yeah, it's in the car.
Yeah, it's in the car.
Cool.
It's health research, like Hilton Hotima books. They have all those sorts. That's where it's from. And he actually says he gave all this science of how ossification and earthy matter is the reason why we age and in the long run. And there was all this scientific evidence from the bones becoming more ossified and everything else, every other body part.
And really, the way I see it is people not only ossify physically, but emotionally and mentally have a choice to also go that way.
Right.
And so our work here is to really protect you on all the levels, including the spiritual level, so you're still spiritually free. You know, your emotions are clear and free. You're free to move in any direction. It's flexibility on a lot of ways.
Wow.
It's not just the physical plane.
Yeah.
That's what makes it kind of unique. At first, it's the only program like this in the world, okay?
Right.
But it's unique. It isn't just focusing on the physical.
Right, right. Okay, so here's the big question. In this book, I mean, this is from a long time ago, so the science is much different now. He mentions phosphoric acid is something that can be utilized to stop the buildup of calcification. However, like David Wolf and you are using fulvic acid, and I guess I kind of wanted to know, have you heard anything about phosphoric acid, and what does fulvic acid actually do scientifically? How do I know that that's actually working and breaking down these calcium buildups?
I think there's some research out there in the fulvic acid, but let's talk about the phosphoric acid, because notice the word acid in here.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is the acid helps dissolve the calcifications. I think that's what he's referring to. The fulvic acid, I think, has other components, and those components, I'm going to just say, are about getting rid of the nanobacteria and helping really dissolve and rebalance the minerals in the system.
Oh, wow. So do we know how it works? Like, how do we know it's working?
I'm not sure there's that much research on it.
Okay.
It's just a general impression of what we see happening.
Oh, okay. With fulvic acid. Okay.
And is there an easy way for people to get phosphoric acid into their bodies these days? Because this book's 100 years old.
Well, personally, that's what's in Coca-Cola.
Yeah, so
yeah,
you said
he said that.
Yeah, and so personally, one of the big things that are going on today is people are too acid.
Right.
So fulvic acid doesn't have that level of acidity. Phosphoric acid is a heavy acid. So I wouldn't really recommend it. Now, if you're trying to dissolve kidney stones, that may be helpful.
Wow.
But it could dissolve, because it dissolves the calcium, dissolves it. So it's an old remedy. We don't recommend it because you drink a few bottles of Coca-Cola and you got enough phosphoric acid to dissolve everything. But it's going to dissolve kidney stones first.
Okay.
Wow.
So we don't recommend it though because it causes so many other disruptions.
And if I remember this correctly, when I was reading in the Longevity Now program where he talked about fulvic acid, he says like if you take too much, it's possible it could leach from the teeth or something, and it might. Or was that?
Yeah, because it's the same thing. You're pulling calcium out of the teeth.
So you got to be careful with that stuff.
You might be pulling calcium out of the teeth. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe fulvic acid is kind of a gentler way of having the same effect on the body than
It's
using
the phosphorus. Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Good to know.
And
You don't want to overdo the acidity because remember, alkalize, but you want to get a maximum optimal pH, so which is neither too alkaline or too acid. Urine would be 6.4 to 6.8. I tend to run around 7. Go above that, you get too alkaline, and then you have hyperreactivity of your muscles, more muscle spasms and things like that. Too low, you're acidic, you don't feel good, your immune system goes down. So you want to hit in between. You want an optimal alkalinity.
Right on.
You know, your blood needs to be 7.46.
Okay.
Okay, and to do that, that would be a urine of first morning urine from 6.4 to 6.8.
Got it.
See, so people get too caught in the super alkalinity. That isn't good either.
Right. Okay, the next question. We're excited about this one. Angela, okay, we've been hearing oxygen and nitrogen and breathing too much. We've heard that oxygen's like really good, and we've also heard oxygen isn't good. I've heard David Wolf saying you want to be in areas where there's more nitrogen than oxygen. Is that correct? And then also like I've heard about hyperbaric chambers helping heal people like ridiculously. So we're kind of confused about the whole thing. Do you have any wisdom on that?
Yeah, the issue is too much of a good thing isn't so good.
Right.
And so if you're really low in oxygen, you need oxygen to make all your cells work. You need oxygen to make your brain cells work. And a lot of these people who are older, they've lost their capacity. They're literally, their chest walls rigidify. And by the time you're 70, you lose 50% of your lung capacity.
Right.
Why does that happen? Your brain doesn't get enough oxygen. They're what we call PO2. We take PO2s here, which is blood oxygen. And it's a little thing, you do that. And really, you need to be about 97, 98 to be good. 99 is great. A lot of people are 95. They're starving for oxygen. You need oxygen to make all your metabolism work. Okay, that's what you need for oxygen. And the Germans kind of did research suggesting that the measure of oxygen in the cell is the measure of rejuvenation, because you create more oxygen will give you more ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So it's like you need a certain amount of oxygen.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you get too much oxygen, you start to oxidize.
Wow.
Which means you start to create free radicals. So it's always the question of a right amount is optimal, too much isn't good, and too little isn't good. Just like the pH question. Alkalize. So if you get too alkaline, that's not healthy.
Right.
So I think it's more that kind of issue. You can, with hydrogen peroxide therapies, ozone therapies, you can overdo it, and you can start to, again, oxidize your lungs.
Wow.
So we don't really recommend that kind of thing. And in 1918, when they had the big flu thing, some people survive getting hydrogen peroxide IVs because it kills the viruses.
Right.
Because the way our immune systems work is that your phagocytes, cells that kind of walk around, they attract the viruses, bacteria, and then they kill them with hydrogen peroxide.
Wow. That's
You
nice.
see,
Yeah.
but if you get too much of that, then that's not so good.
Right.
So it's always a balance in the body is really what we're talking about.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again at the Raw Food World.